Hello, welcome back to the podcast. My name is Cassie. I always record my podcasts walking because mum life, and it's very rare I'm able to sit down and record a podcast or go for a walk, so I have to shoehorn it into my day every day, and usually I just do the walk without the podcast. But today I felt like I wanted to bring you some more free content to help you on your fertility journey, your conception journey, or simply your journey to thriving healthy hormones. You might hear a bit of background wind. It's November, and in the UK it's fairly cold, like maybe 7 degrees or something. But there is a lot of wind blowing through the trees, which is beautiful. One of the most powerful things we can do as humans, really, I was going to say as women, but everyone should do this, is forest bathing. And it's not just simply walking, it's about consciously, it's massive in Japan, and it's actually prescribed with successful outcomes for many health conditions. So just going and being in a spot in the woods or the forest, in nature, is fine. And just sitting maybe by a tree or just moving through gently and mindfully and being basically ultra aware of the sounds, the textures, the movement of the air, the trees. I like to put my hand on trees, and I really find it really helpful, which sounds woo-woo and crazy, but at the same time there is so much in society or in our modern day world that basically takes us away from nature, which is our very source, of who we are. And when we forget that, of course, ill health is going to happen because we've fundamentally forgotten our essence. And when we deviate from our truth and our natural state, that's when obviously health problems begin, such as fertility for a woman. So recommend forest bathing. Anyway, that's not what I'm going to talk about today. If you didn't listen to my last podcast, which was all about kind of blocks to fertility, I wanted to talk today a bit more about foods for conception, healthy hormones and fertility, because I think most people know this, but I think there's a lot of really easy ways to up your health that don't involve green juices and crazy powders that taste like crap. Because honestly, when you're a health nut, or you're someone who's really trying to get into health, you suddenly kind of will swing on the pendulum to this crazy everything is for some people it's vegan or plant-based, or eating loads of vegetables, and it's not always good for you. And we're kind of I'll go into what actually is probably best for most of us, but as you go through the episode, remember, you are so unique, and as such there is no one size fits all with anything to do with health or homeopathy. When I prescribe for my patients, it is completely individual, and anyone who comes through my Fertility Best Friend program, it's very much about you and where you are. It's not about just a one size fits all, because that is just not how health, fertility, nutrition work. And anyone that says otherwise, maybe needs to check themselves. So, I just wanted to let you know that enrollment for Fertility Best Friend is open now. This is my flagship program. It's a 4-month program, which includes homeopathic consultations and prescriptions, which will include homeopathic detox therapy. It includes 1-to-1 sessions. It includes nutrition education, breath work, yoga for fertility, and it includes, this is where it's called Fertility Best Friend, it includes me on your phone as your support for all things up to conception, and obviously beyond if you're still in the program. So it's a very high level container, because I'm basically here for you to ask me anything whilst you're in the 2-week wait. If you're having a tough time, if you're getting worries in your head, I'm here to help you literally with everything, every step of the way. And one of my fertility clients literally asked the other day, am I okay to have a glass of wine on my protocol? And I was like, yes, sometimes what you really need is to let your hair down and have a glass of wine. It's fine, and you will probably enjoy it. You know, just stuff like that, where if you're on the fertility journey, you can question everything because you're trying so hard to do everything right, and sometimes it can go to a level where your partner's driven bonkers. Maybe you have no friends that understand. Maybe you don't feel like you can really chat to anyone about it, because with fertility, you know, largely people try and keep it hush-hush for various reasons. So I am like your person who is your confidant, who keeps everything you share with me confidential. So it is a high level container, and that's why I call it Fertility Best Friend, because I'm literally giving you all the things, everything I know, from energy healing to homeopathy to yoga to breathwork, everything I've ever learned in my last 13 years working as a health and fitness professional, and now holistic, homeopath and integrative life coach and so on. I have loads of qualifications. I just don't talk about them because I just hate that and labels, and I'm this and I'm that. But sometimes you have to be like, actually, I have these things, so you can trust me. And the sound healing. So it all comes together in my Fertility Best Friend program. You can do this with me wherever you are in the world. So please reach out to me, because I have early bird options now, and you can even, pay in installments if that suits you. But yeah, just reach out to me on my email, hello@cassieaurora.com, or you can just message me if you want to read about the program, what it entails, and what we can address in that Fertility Best Friend program. But it's really for you if, you've been maybe considering IVF and you don't want to outlay loads of money. Try homeopathy first, please, before IVF. If you are just starting to think, I actually want to conceive after years of hormonal contraception, and maybe you're having recurring miscarriages, stuff like that, this program is definitely for you. Anyway, let's get to the juicy content. That's why you're here. Okay, let's talk about foods for fertility. As usual, there is no structure to what I talk about. This is not great for some people. When I actually do masterclasses and stuff, I generally do have PowerPoints and things like that, and I'm more organised. But podcast is kind of like a spur of the moment thing because I live very in my intuition, and when I have the energy, I will go for it. So anyway, so foods for fertility. Number one, you may or may not know this, eggs. So this is where a lot of people are like, but I'm vegan, I'm vegetarian. Okay, so the way I see it is, when I was vegan, I was very sick. I took all the supplements, I lived a healthy life, I had all the green powders, and I was just sick after a time because, animal proteins are superior. And, if you don't want to hear that, that's fine. I'm not the person for you. But, veganism doesn't work for many, many, many women. So if you're not conceiving and you're vegan, before you try anything else, at the very least, think about adding eggs. You don't have to eat meat, you don't have to have cheese or dairy. But if you can find some local eggs or have your own chicken, eggs every day. Eggs are amazing. They contain a plethora of fantastic vitamins and minerals, things that your baby really is going to need, things that you need to have healthy hormones as a woman. They are insane, and any good nutritionist will tell you eggs are king, and that doesn't change. So eggs, 3 eggs ideally in a portion, because that will help you get your protein, healthy fats, and actually the types of fats that are preferable. So, a lot of the time people say, have cod liver oil. Well, I'm someone who says, I'm not really into cod liver oil. There's a lot of research that show it's actually quite inflammatory in the long run. So that's another topic, but my friend Abby Foreman is AF Nutrition on Instagram. I think she shares a lot about how cod liver oil is quite bad, and actually turned my opinion on it. And I'm like, do you know what? I'll stick to just natural occurring oils in grass-fed beef, etc., or algae or whatever, or just whole foods. If we can try and eat whole foods, that would be great. Anyway, so eggs are great also for your egg quality. I say eggs for eggs. But when it comes to liver health, we want lots of B12. This is why a lot of the time in pregnancy it's folic acid. There's a lot of reasons why. Also, you need B12 for your liver, phase 2 detoxification. Anyway, but when it comes to B12, you can get it from naturally occurring sources. And if you've never been vegan or vegetarian and you've always ate well, then this might not be a problem. But for most people, B12 is an issue. Don't take folic acid, please. A lot of people actually can't absorb it, so you're literally putting your money down the toilet. It's about 80% of people have something called an MTHFR gene mutation, which means you cannot really absorb folic acid very well. And so it's kind of like junk. And for a little bit more money, you could buy a methylfolate or a prenatal multivitamin, like a whole food one. Please not Pregnacare, for the love of God. Just no, it's very bad. A whole food one like Thorne Basic Prenatal, or like Seeking Health Optimal Prenatal, but it doesn't taste great, to be honest with you, and every form it comes in is really disgusting. But Thorne Basic Prenatal is quite nice. And Wild Nutrition is not so bad because it has folate instead of folic acid. So that's like a tangent. Sorry about that. But yeah, so Wild Nutrition, Fertility or Prenatal, Thorne Basic Prenatal, or Seeking Health Optimum Prenatal. But, and there's a big caveat there, I would, unless you can get like a hair test unique to you, get it read, unless you can get a mineral test, then the problem herein lies that if you take things like Pregnacare, you're overloading your body with synthetic things that actually you might not need. So you can cause more problems than good. At least when you're going for a basic prenatal that's like a whole food form, your body generally will excrete what it doesn't need in a safe and normal manner. There's no damage there. And it's because it's a whole food form. So it's kind of like a meal in a pill. So I really like the Thorne Basic Prenatal, the best out of them all. So I kind of give a nudge. I'm not a nutritionist, but that's a great one to take to really cover your bases, because soil is largely depleted, so you have to eat a lot more to get like your basic minerals. And and also magnesium's a really good supplement, but maybe I'll do a separate episode on magnesium supplements and supplements in general, because I feel like I'm gone on a massive tangent. So let's go back. Eggs. Eggs, if you can eat eggs every day, you are winning. And that's really all through your pregnancy. Now look, if you get morning sickness, I had morning sickness, it was so bad. There was no way in hell I was eating eggs, going near them. And also, add on a side note, my first pregnancy, I did not know about homeopathy. Now I would very easily be able to solve my morning sickness. This is why I have absolutely no fear going into pregnancy this time, because I'm like, yes, I'm not going to get morning sickness because I have so many natural remedies with homeopathy that I will conquer it, which is so great. So I'm very happy with that. So yeah, if you've got morning sickness, reach out to me, or if you get it when you're fertile, come back to me. I can definitely help you. I have a lot of posts on my Instagram to help you with that. Any pregnancy related things, really. Okay, next one, my superfoods. Okay, the next one I'm going to give you is beef liver. Most people are like, or beef organs, but hear me out. A lot of stuff you'll read about prenatal is saying that vitamin A from like an animal source can be really dangerous for your baby. This is not true. A lot of the research is quite flawed, and it's saying get vitamin A from carrots, etc. I know so many of my nutrition friends that had liver all through their pregnancy. And if you read, my God, my mind's gone blank, Real Foods for Pregnancy by Lily Nichols, she is a big one for organ meats. Whether you can stomach organ meats is a different kettle of fish. So if you're a wimp like me, you can buy beef organ capsules or beef liver capsules. I really like the Ape Nutrition, the NX Gen, or the Hirsch. They're really great. If you get stuck on any of these, please just drop me a message. I can shoot you my favourite ones. And you can take, 3 a day if you're worried about the vitamin A thing, rather than the full dose of 6. What I like to do is do 1 day beef liver, 1 day of prenatal. I kind of alternate, so I feel like beef liver in its own right is a amazing supplement, and it's whole food. So I kind of like alternate them both, and then I get the best of both worlds. So take it or leave it, take your pick. Okay, so come on, brain. So yeah, that's my second food. But any kind of beef or red meat is good. I really want to encourage you to consider eating less but better quality. So when you think about meats, it's really important that we go for organic grass-fed meats or organic meats. Any meats that are fed on like mass produced, and that's where I have a problem with the meat industry. Like, the living conditions are terrible, the food that they eat is terrible, and yeah, I have a problem with that. So we tend to buy locally grown, grass-fed, hand-reared beef. Get the best that you can, and if you can't do that, you haven't got local butchers. Sainsbury's and Ocado, or Butcher, it's not called Butcher Box in the UK, there's like a organic butchers, Dalesford. These places tend to have like a very good quality of meat, and if you buy the cheaper cuts of meat, the bits that no one wants, so like you could get beef heart and beef mince, and then grate the beef heart into the beef mince and make a chili con carne with it. If you're like me and lazy as hell, just the mince is fine. But beef mince, it is fine. Or if you're like me and you like a beef burger, because I just can't just sit and eat a lump of steak. Like, I find that I'm just not into it. Like, I go through phases. But the benefits to eating red meat, everything about like red meat's bad for you, just let it go. Everything in moderation, and it is a superior form of protein, as long as, and here we go, commercial raised meats, non-organic meats, are going to be fed in like soya crop or bad crop. And the problem there is, when you're having those soya based things such as tofu, such as bad meat, or just soya based items, milk or whatever, anything with soya in, it's basically acting as a phytoestrogen, so it's messing up your hormones. It does nothing for women. It can also really mess around with your periods and your fertility, because it messes up your hormones, basically. It's as bad as plastics, in my opinion. So, take it or leave it. Do what you feel is right. If it's a choice between not eating meat or eating non-organic meat because you can't, at the moment the cost of living is stupid, then I would say to you, have one that's cheaper, to be honest. But if you can buy mince, which is very cheap, or like Sainsbury's do organic beef burgers, they're about £3 for 2 if it's just you and your partner. They're fairly good quality. That's a meal, with like a nice bun and some homemade chips. Beef burger and chips is a great meal, by the way, with all the trimmings. So, home cooked in, butter or ghee. Yes, I know, seems like a lot of fat, but there you go. And that's a really good meal for you. It's going to nourish your hormones and nourish your health. Remember, the goal in this is not to get lean and shredded, because for most women, lean and shredded equals shit hormones, bad periods. The goal is healthy hormones. They're two different things. And sometimes it requires us to be, have a little bit of softness to us. It's not saying we need to be overweight to be fertile for what our body is. It's just we have a healthy softness that we all return to when we're not trying and when we're just eating, average amount of food and moving a healthy amount. So that's fertile, that's healthy. So yeah. Lost my train of thought. Okay, so let's move up on that. So beef, eggs, beef liver, good meat. My next one is fats. If you are a woman and you want to have healthy eggs, healthy hormones, healthy babies, be fertile, be sane, and actually be, joyful in life, it probably involves fat, and the worst fats are things like rapeseed oil, vegetable oil, sunflower oil. If you have those in your diet, just take them out, because they are doing literally nothing for you. They are causing a lot of inflammation, which is a driver of hormone disturbance, thyroid disturbance, and therefore fertility blockages. So can you switch to butter, ghee, coconut oil, or avocado oil? Olive oil is also fine. Olive, butter, ghee, avocado, coconut oil. They're like some great ones. Our grandparents had it right when they cooked in lard and ghee, to be honest. They definitely had something right there. So I always like to say to people, with oils, think like your grandma, the good fats. Have fats, don't be afraid of fats. Full fat milk, full fat dairy. Some people just don't like it, and that's fine. But if you're cooking, just really try and have, I definitely have too much fat. And we all have a different tolerance for what suits us with cooking fats. I like a drizzle of olive oil. My partner does really well, and he's a guy, so he can eat differently to me. He does really well with heaps of butter. Some days I have a lot of butter more in my luteal phase, so when I'm coming up to my period. But definitely when you're pregnant and when you want lots of healthy fats for baby's brain. So my advice to you is to start learning to eat them now. Don't wait till pregnancy, because there's going to be enough stuff you're trying to learn at that point. Okay, the wind's quite intense with the trees, sorry. So fats. Let's talk about the next food, carbs. Carbs, if you are a woman or a living human, you need carbs. Carbs get a bad rap. No carbs before marbs, all this shit. It took me a long time to feel comfortable eating carbs. My background is an eating disorder, so it was not easy for me. Now, I have no problem eating piles of porridge or potatoes. I generally don't gravitate towards carbs much, so it's like I do have to force myself to eat them. But even if you're having root veggies with a stew, carrots, by the way, are great for your hormones. So raw carrots, one raw carrot a day, it's great for your estrogen detoxification. If you're low in progesterone, a carrot a day, which most women, to be honest, are low in progesterone, so a carrot a day, do it. A raw carrot, I grate one up. I don't grate it up, sorry, I peel it and then just have a whole carrot and I dunk it in Marmite peanut butter. Do not judge me, it's a good snack, so highly recommend. But yeah, carbs. So all the fruits that you were told weren't good for you, bananas, dates. By the way, if you've never tried a date with a bit of butter and salt, you have not lived. It will literally taste like cookie dough. Trust me, you need to try it. A medjool date, butter and salt. Heavenly. So all the carbs, honey, carrots, parsnips, beetroot, potatoes. Where carbs get a little bit, is everyone goes, sugar. Sugar's bad carbs. Well, it depends. Try and get good sugar and have sugar with your coffee. My friend Abby, AF Nutrition, on Instagram, she's always talking about this. Have sugar in your coffee or have a little biscuit with it, because it's actually stopping the sugar crash and it's stopping the caffeine high. It helps your hormones massively. So having the sugar in the coffee, it's better for your hormones. Not heaps and heaps, but a little bit, or a bit of honey. So all the carbs, you want to try to avoid refined carbs like processed bread, but a piece of sourdough, by the way, if you look on the ingredients for like most supermarket sourdoughs in the UK, you'll see that they all have like rapeseed oil, E numbers, and just crazy stuff. If you can try and find, like Jason's is very good in the supermarket. If you just go to like Sainsbury's or Tesco, there's one called Jason's, and that's probably the cleanest you'll find. And it's really delicious. That's probably the best supermarket carby bread you're going to get. So, bread's like terrible, but nothing wrong with having a sandwich. Try not to get paranoid, and it's a good carb. If you could have spelt pasta or, just pasta, it's fine. If you go for rice, you can have any rice. I prefer white rice because it's generally easier on the stomach. And when it comes to hormones, we want easy to digest food. So when you get brown rice, brown pasta, all these like more complex things, they actually can create a lot of gas and a lot of discomfort and make it harder for the body to digest. And we want digestion to be as easy as possible. So the food you want, try and cook it. Cooked food is just so much better. Fertility is a warm, fiery, kind of life-giving state. Raw foods are cold. So it's not that you can't, it's fine to have all raw foods, but if you're in the winter, try and cook everything. If you're in summer, you'll get away with it. But warm, nicely well-cooked foods, easy to digest. Sometimes not every meal has to be a masterpiece. A bit of veg, so like cruciferous vegetables are probably the best in the vegetable kingdom, in my opinion. The broccoli, sprouts, cauliflower, they roast really great. Don't try and fill up on those, because that's a weird myth. Have a little bit if you want it, and then have some like fruity, starchy veg, or a fruity veg like tomato or carrot or parsnip, something a bit more sweet and nurturing, or beetroot roasted. And like one of our meals that we have is I just cook like I'll roast some tomatoes with some peppers and onions, a few of my like homemade chips, which are questionable. They're like literally chopped up and baked with olive oil with some paprika, and then just with like a chicken thigh, or with chicken thigh is, by the way more superior to breast. The darker the meat, the more nutritious. So venison, chicken thigh. I hate lamb, but if you can eat lamb I suppose. It's a bit strange, but I mean, who am I to judge? My partner loves lamb, but he never eats it. But some people love it, and why not? The darker the meat, the better. So you can have that, or sometimes we have literally fish and chips, not from the chip shop, but we just make it. I would have it from the chip shop, got no problems with that. What I'm trying to get across here is eat the food, because if you are in a scarcity place with food, this not only affects your hormones, but on an energetic level, I'm in the business of a holistic approach. So yes, on a material level, it's scarce, it affects your hormones. It's also boring, like you're not excited. Not every meal has to be a masterpiece, like I say, but not every meal also has to be like really depressing. If it's generally fats, carbs and protein, it's probably enjoyable. And then it's like on an energetic level, if you're in limiting and scarce mindset, this is not abundant, this is not in alignment with, this idea of having enough, because your body needs reserves to build a baby. So it needs to know it's got the energy to do it, and it's not diverting energy into inflammation or faulty hormones through poor eating or lack of nutrition or gut issues. And this is why sometimes it's not as simple as mopping up your nutrition, because you might have deeper rooted issues. And this is why I say, their homeopathic treatment or my fertility best friend is probably a better shout for you than just winging it. But sometimes it's like, try nutrition first, see what happens. Are you currently just eating a bang average diet, skipping breakfast? Then eat breakfast first. Stop eating coffee for breakfast and eat some eggs, and have some beef once a week, and then see how you feel after a month or so. Are you feeling more energized, having more fats, more carbs, more protein? Probably. So I guess my message here is not to be scarce with your eating, because you need to eat well. Your body has to have what it needs in order to thrive. You also need to respect yourself enough to know that you deserve pleasure in all ways, and that includes food. So I kind of hope that this helps, this podcast. remember that enrolment is open for my fertility best friend. We dive more into these topics in much more detail, and honestly I am super pumped for this fertility best friend round, because honestly this is my joy. I love being people's ally. I absolutely love being with them on that 2-week wait. I love everything about fertility, really. So yeah, please feel free to reach out to me via email or via Messenger. This is the way to work with me and receive homeopathic treatment, high level support, all the energetics behind conception. It's all in there. So yeah, anyway, email me hello@cassie@rawwork.com, or don't, that's fine. And we'll speak soon. All right, take care.